Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be doing another interview. The person joining me today has been on Broadway. They've been on shows such as Hamilton and West Side Story. As well as that, they also appeared in the web series Neighbours. The person joining me today is Chris Rice, and they're going to be telling us all about their acting experiences and some advice they'd have. So please welcome Chris.
Hey everyone, my name is Christoper Rice. My married name is Christoper Rice-Thomson. I got married a year and a few months ago. I'm a Broadway actor and artist here in New York City, where I currently am residing. Rapid fire, I've been a part of some cool shows like West Side Story, Book of Mormon, currently Hamilton, among some others. I create YouTube content both as a dancer and performer with my hashtag Tappy series, which features tap dancing with either classic songs or even new contemporary songs, which have like millions of hits. And then I also do a vlog twice a week with my husband called the Chris and Clay vlog. That keeps us pretty busy. And that's a little bit about me. I also love spreading positivity and joy. So that's kind of my goal through all of my art, to do that.
Thank you so much for coming, Chris. So today I'm going to be interviewing Chris, and I've got 10 questions for him. And my first question for you is, when did you first decide you wanted to get into acting?
Well, it kind of happened organically. That kind of sounds silly, but I took dance when I was little because my older sister did. My mom was always driving my sister to dance class, and we'd wait in the parking lot for her to take class and then go home. And I would peek in through the window. That got me into dancing. And then from there, I was always running around like singing around my house because I loved Disney movies. I loved all the musicals, and as you can see, I love Disney. I'm wearing a Mickey shirt now. So, yeah, it kind of happened naturally. My parents were like, would you want to try acting classes? And I was like, sure. So around 8 years old, I started acting classes. Also, my church back home did a big mega musical every year with like hundreds of people. So seeing live theater was something I was introduced to at a young age, and that inspired me to get into acting.
Yeah, thank you. So what kind of dancing did you first get into? What style of dance did you kind of first get introduced to?
When I started, when I was really little, it was ballet. Now you would look at my dancing and say, ballet is definitely not his strongest, but ballet was the first thing that introduced me to dancing.
How old were you when you kind of first started like considering taking acting like professionally, like when you kind of knew that's what you wanted to do?
Well, I think that I saw the national tour of Beauty and the Beast when I was younger. That was the first like mega professional show I saw that had lots of special effects and like Broadway quality performers. I think that's when I first realized that you could do acting as a profession. I was like, oh, well, acting on stage. I knew movie stars made lots of money, but I think when I first realized that stage actors could also, do that professionally, that was really enticing to me because, as I said, musicals and Disney, like that's what first made me fall in love with the art form, and to get to do that professionally sounded like a dream, and it still is a dream to this day.
Yeah, thank you. So earlier on you mentioned obviously that you're in Hamilton, which is really cool, and I was just wondering, what was the audition process like for Hamilton?
Well, it's been different for every single show I've ever done, and honestly, talking to other cast members of Hamilton and other friends of mine that have done Hamilton over the years, the audition process has looked so different for so many of us. I first auditioned for the show in the spring of 2019, and I had admired the show since I saw it off Broadway, and then I saw the original cast on Broadway. And I was really nervous and excited just because I loved the show so much. So first, I think I danced 2 different combinations. We danced, made a cut, danced, made a cut, and then they called people back the next day to sing, and I didn't get called back, and I was devastated because I was like, I thought I did well, and I thought I had at least earned a chance to sing, and I was pretty bummed, to be honest. So a few months later, like I guess that fall, I was on my honeymoon in November of 2019, and I got an email saying you have an audition for the national tour. But I got this email saying, hey, you have an audition for Hamilton, and I said yes, of course. But then I told my husband, I was like, gosh, I got cut last time, and I love Hamilton, but I don't want to like get attached to it by auditioning for it, getting down to the end or something, like in a dream world. So maybe I won't go to the audition. And Clay was like, Clay's my husband. He was like, well, let them cut you. Don't cut yourself. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. I shouldn't remove myself from the opportunity. I should try to go in for it. So I did, thankfully, and I did 2 different dance combos, sang my own song, and did material from the show that day. And then we had callbacks. Yeah, so then the next day we danced more, and we did 2 more dance combinations. So it was 4 dance combos total. I sang and read again, and then I did 2 work sessions with the musical director where I worked on the material. He gave me notes, and I came back and performed all that one more time, and then I got the job. So It was so exciting.
Yeah, that does sound exciting. What was it like touring with Hamilton? Because obviously you got to go on like to different theatres and like around the country. What was that like?
Touring with Hamilton is so special because it's a show that not a lot of musicals have made it to like mainstream media and made it like become a worldwide phenomenon. And like there's shows like Rent, other shows maybe like Book of Mormon that have made some, international headlines, but really Hamilton's the first show probably since Rent or something that has become so much of a international recognizable name. So getting to bring that to someone's hometown and to bring them the chance to see Hamilton for the first time live. And this was before the Disney Plus version happened or was released. That was really cool to get to see people who had waited years to see Hamilton finally get a chance to see it, and the crowds were just insane. The show is always packed and the crowds are always on fire, so it's great.
Yeah, that does sound great. So the next thing I've got to ask you is, did anybody inspire you to get into acting?
It's a solid question. I don't think it was any one specific person. One person that inspired me a lot through my acting journey is Gene Kelly. The way he dances, he dances like very masculine, and I think a lot of the times growing up, I'd seen a lot of people kind of dance really balletic and flowy, and he found a way to bring some strength to the dancing. And that was encouraging for me because he also was a great actor and a great storyteller. So I think he really inspired me through my journey. I'm not sure if anyone specifically inspired my journey to act. It was more the art form itself.
My next thing I got to ask is, what was it like creating the flash mob proposal? It was honestly incredible. I was watching on YouTube earlier and it's just like, how did you pull it off and how did you kind of keep it a secret?
Keeping it a secret was the hardest part because I tell my husband everything, and keeping something from him, especially something so big with so many moving parts, was really tough. I stopped sleeping well that week leading up to it because there was so much excitement, and it was managing his parents' schedules that were coming in to surprise him, as well as all of the dancers and all the details that I was worried he would find out. So it was a lot of work, but thankfully I had done a lot of my YouTube videos that sometimes have large numbers of people and lots of different cameras and lights and things like that. So I had gotten used to the process of having an idea and bringing it to fruition and capturing it on camera. And while the proposal was the most important part, I wanted to document it too. And I'm so glad I did because we had 4 cameras, and thankfully we had one on camera. We had one camera on Clay the whole time, and that was so special for me to go back and watch that footage because doing this huge proposal was not only a performance, but it was also a huge life moment that my whole life had led me towards. And it was kind of a blur. It was a great happy blur, but it was a 2.5 minute, I think, proposal. And it flew by in seconds. It felt like it was like that. So having the footage to go back and watch and to see his reaction was just incredibly special. And it was a big undertaking to do it, but I would not have changed anything about it. It was really awesome, and I pulled it off, thankfully, and he was so surprised, and he said yes, which is the best part.
Yeah, well, it was amazing, and it was kind of unreal in a way. All those people were just walking around and then just started dancing. It was really cool. Did you kind of rehearse it online, or did you all meet up and rehearse it somewhere?
So Clay was out of town for a little bit doing a show, so I used that to my advantage. We rehearsed a couple times in person, and then that morning we added all the different groups together. His parents came in. We had one, we had one final rehearsal, and that was in a dance studio. So I sent all the dancers to the place to kind of map out where to do it, but I didn't want them to practice it and do it full out with music because I knew it would draw a lot of attention to that area. However, they kind of walked through it and people kind of figured out, they're going to do a flash mob later. So that area where we filmed was usually empty, like no one was there. I was worried that Clay was going to see the cameramen and women that were there because he knew some of them. They were our friends that had shot other projects. And thankfully we walked up and it was crowded, so he didn't spot them right away. But also, it was so crowded, I didn't know, there wasn't a spot for him to stand up on the ledge where I as soon as the music started, I grabbed him and put him on the ledge so he could see everyone. And there was not a spot for him right away. So it was all of a sudden it was darting around with my eyes trying to map out where we were going to dance. And I knew that if I started dancing somewhere, everyone else would fill in behind me, and it worked out great.
Yeah. Well, it was really good, like I said earlier, and yeah, it's on your YouTube channel, so if you haven't watched it, people watching right now, go and check it out. I'll put it in the description. So, my next thing to ask you is, what was it like being in the web series Neighbours?
Man, Neighbours was such a cool opportunity. Clearly 2020 kind of put a halt to a lot of art, especially for live theater performers. However, a buddy of mine, Sherrod, he is also a part of the Hamilton family. We've worked on a few random projects together over the years. And he called me. He's like, hey, can I pitch something to you real quick? And I was like, sure. He's like, we are doing a series. It's going to be a web series called Neighbors, featuring a really diverse, awesome cast that's going to amplify, BIPOC voices as well as LGBTQ narratives and storylines and characters. So I want you to be a big part of it. And I was like, I'm so down. Show me the script. I want to read it, and I want to get on board with this. And it was great to find a way to create art during COVID, done safely through COVID tests and all the protocols on set. It was so fun to get to dive into a character that I played a gay character before. I mean, I am gay, but I played one gay character before in like a sketch, a short, but never in like in a movie or a musical or like a stage show. So it was so cool to get to play a character that had like an arc over a full season. That was also part of the LGBTQIA community. So that was really awesome, and I learned a lot from it, and I can't wait for more. Hopefully there's a season 2.
Yeah, it does sound awesome, and yeah, hopefully you'll get a season 2 and you can do it again. So next I've got to ask you is, do you have any advice to people who do want to get into the acting industry or performing industry?
Yes. 1, be a good person. No one wants to work with a jerk. It's not hard to be nice. Sometimes it is hard to be nice, but choose being nice. You never know who you are working with or who's around you that you could eventually work with later in life. There's a great story. There's a choreographer named Drew McConey who choreographed King Kong on Broadway. He's actually British, and he choreographed a lot of shows over there, and he's amazing and talented and the sweetest guy. He was choreographing King Kong, and for the Broadway auditions, he came over and he was stretching in the room that all the dancers were coming to warm up in. And they signed in, they were all stretching, and no one knew who he was, so people were talking about this, like, kind of saying negative things about him, or kind of, I don't know, saying unflattering things about him. And then right at 10 o'clock when the audition started, he's like, hey everyone, I'm the choreographer. And they were like, ugh. And because they were being unkind people, I'm sure they lost out on that opportunity. So that's just such a great example. Just be kind all the time, not so you get a job, but your world will be better. You'll make the world a better place. And just lead with kindness is one thing I would say for sure. In addition, we are living in a world with so much technology and information right at our fingertips. So learn and study, even if it's from home. Find YouTube videos to watch, interviews. There are full musicals online. Watch those. The more you know, the more diverse of a performer you will be. So I'll say learn all you can and be a good person.
Yeah, those are 2 very good tips. So yeah, obviously there's lots of stuff to access, especially at the minute. I mean, a lot of the musicals are like streaming things online because it's kind of a way that people can come and watch the shows, but in a different way, which is really good. Because I know the West End in the UK are, and I think Broadway are too. Have any of the ones you've been in streaming yet?
No, nothing I've done. I mean, first of all, I love that. We've watched a couple shows from the UK that have been streaming and that we wouldn't normally get to see live, at least, So that's been really cool. So I'm a big fan of that. And I hope more Broadway shows do. I have some friends that were a part of the filming of Diana the Musical, which is supposed to be on Netflix soon. But none of the shows that I have been a part of have streamed. I mean, Hamilton, the original cast is streaming on Disney+, which is awesome. So it's a great chance to see that, even if Broadway's shut down right now and the West End is shut down. So it's a great chance to see the show while you can.
Yeah, it does open up like a good opportunity, even though like life isn't normal, there's still chances to kind of see things you wouldn't see before. So kind of following on from the last question in a way, my next question for you is, have you always kind of wanted to be an actor, or was there something else you wanted to do in the past?
It was always being an artist. When I was a kid, everyone said, oh, you're going to be a movie star, because I was just like an artistic kid. And then musical theater kind of found me, and that's been my home for the most part. But yeah, it's always been my dream to perform and to be a storyteller. And I think the umbrella of being an artist has opened up over the last few years of the different things I want to do within the industry or within the art form of, storytelling, whether that's film or writing or creating. There's a lot of different types of artists, and we're all storytellers. So while I may branch out, these next few years and grow as an artist, it's all under the umbrella of being a storyteller. So yes, I always wanted to act, and I'm excited to see where that leads to.
Yeah. So obviously you've done like quite a few things like Hamilton and West Side Story and Neighbours. So if you could kind of like sum up, what has been the best kind of experience you've done so far in your acting career, if you could pick one?
My very first job out of college, my big first Broadway type gig was the national tour of West Side Story, where I played Baby John and covered Tony. And it came at just the right time. It like swept me out of New York City and put me into a big show on the road. And nothing will ever top that experience. It's also where I met my husband. We played opposite each other as the Jets. And we played alongside each other, I guess. And so that's special for those two reasons, as well as Hamilton being one of the coolest shows I've ever got to perform. Every piece of choreography has so much meaning behind it. Like every step represents something. It's also, the show's almost 3 hours and there are 49 numbers in it. Most of those are dance numbers. And there's never a dance break. Most musicals are like, yep, da 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 da, the music plays on and we dance. But this show is all about the storytelling, all about the lyrics. We are dancing to rhythms in the text. So it's a dream as a performer. And as a storyteller, as I mentioned, it's a dream to perform that because you're furthering the story through your movement. And so I would say those two shows have been my favorite and the most important to me.
Yeah, well, they're both really cool shows, and it's kind of great that you've had the chance to do them and everything. So obviously we've been talking about like a lot about Broadway and everything, but on your resume it also says you've done like kind of regional shows. So what was it kind of like performing in them?
Well, for me, I grew up doing regional shows. There was a great Equity, which Equity is like the American Actors Union for professional, stage actors. There was a great Equity theater near my home in my hometown, and I did shows there as a kid. I was like Winthrop and The Music Man and The Sound of Music and all the normal shows you do as a kid. So I was exposed to regional theater at a very young age, where you like rehearse for 2 weeks, do a show for a week or two, and then it's done. And I returned to that in college, and in my summers during college, as well as here and there in my adult career as well. And it's been fun because it's always a good reminder that theater is theater, no matter if it's a small theater in the middle of nowhere or a show on the West End or show on Broadway, whatever. It's a chance to tell a story with people that are like-minded and appreciate the art form as well. And audiences in the middle of upstate New York are just as important as the ones coming to see Broadway shows, right? So here in the heart of Manhattan. So I think it's a good reminder that, theater is theater wherever it is, as well as it's a great chance to, perform for a new audience you may not get to while you're in New York City.
What like names of shows have you done regionally? Like what like musicals or drama pieces have you done?
Yeah, regionally I've been part of, I was the lead in Crazy for You, An American in Paris. I've revisited West Side Story playing a different role. I played Riff on, when I did it regionally. I've done the musical Oklahoma. I've done High School Musical. I've done quite a few different ones. But the bulk of my resume and my experience has really been regional theater. I guess the last, post-college, has been Broadway and Broadway tours, which is pretty cool. But credit-wise, a lot of my credits on my resume are regional.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's great that you've been able to do so many cool things. And I have one more question for you, and I think this is going to be quite a fun question for you to kind of do. And it's, do you have any acting stories you want to share? Because obviously you've done so much, and I expect you have a couple stories.
Gosh, well, there was one night, okay, so this is during West Side Story. My character, Baby John, is like the youngest of the Jets. And in the previous scene, in Act 1, they've just seen their leader. Sorry, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen West Side Story, pause this, go watch the movie, then come back. The leader of the Jets, Riff, he gets stabbed and he dies. So when the show comes back in Act 2, it's about other characters, and you see scenes with the other characters. There's a big dream sequence. The first time you see the Jets, which is the gang I was a part of in the show, is with me, Baby John, and Arab, who my husband played on the road. And we have a scene where we're sad and we're scared that, since our leader just died. And then a police officer, Officer Krupke, blows his whistle and runs on stage and chases us. And it leads into the song, Officer Krupke. Well, all this to say, one night, one of the understudies was on for Officer Krupke and forgot he was on for Krupke, had taken off his costume, taken off his mic, and didn't blow the whistle. So my husband and I are like, well, we gotta go find Riff and the gang. Wait, Riff's dead. And I totally failed at improving, saying we're gonna go look for Riff when he had already died. It was so embarrassing. And then I see the other Jets off stage being like, guys, we gotta hurry, because they were doing a quick change and we're trying to hurry to come on stage and help us improv. And then I look out, in second row center, sitting and watching the show, is the composer Alan Menken, and who I love. Alan Menken wrote Little Mermaid and so many shows that like shaped my childhood, and as I said, Disney, and love for performing. And I was so embarrassed. But apparently the audience members that I knew in the audience, some of my friends were there, and they didn't catch that it was a big mistake that we had to ad-lib. But that was pretty funny as like a fluke for a Broadway show. And the understudy who messed up, we are still good friends, and he apologized so many times. He actually took Clay and I out to a movie, bought us all the popcorn and candy, and was like, "This is my apology." He didn't need to do that, but it was quite a funny memory and a great like live theater moment.
Yeah, that is a really cool memory. But like, that's really cool how you could like just improv straight away, and you were like, we need to carry on, get it done.
Yeah, you got to remember what the characters are wanting and what they have to accomplish in the scene. Even if you get thrown a curveball, I maybe didn't nail it with all my ad libs, but I did my best, and we got there.
Yeah, that's really good. So yeah, we've kind of came to the end of the interview already, which is it's gone really quick.
It has gone fast. Well, I do talk fast, so I'm sure that helps when I'm not coughing up a storm, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's been really great filming with you. Thank you so much for coming, Chris. It has been great finding out more about you and like your kind of Broadway stories. It's been lovely.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice of you to have me. I'm such a fan of what you're doing on your YouTube channel and highlighting different artists, and you're so welcoming and your energy is great. So thanks for having me. If anybody wants to keep up with me and what I'm up to, you can connect with me on social media at Chris Rice NY, like New York, on like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that.
Yeah, thank you. And go and follow Chris on Instagram and all of the other social media. So yeah, thank you to everybody who watched this video at home too. I hope you have a great day. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another interview. Bye everyone.